This is the update on the dopamine fast that I'm currently doing, the dopamine rinse, flush fast, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to prevent my body from getting any kind of quick release, rapid dopamine surges throughout my body in order to try to rewire my brain. Today is day 3. Yesterday was day 2. That was awful. Day 1 of this, not bad. Day 2 was not a good day. So I want to kind of fill you in on some of the stuff, and I want to make sure that if you want to try this for yourself, you have a little bit of a warning beforehand where you understand what potentially could happen. So once again, what I'm doing, I'm not scrolling through social media with all the TikTok stuff. I am filming, editing, and posting. I'm not going and responding to comments. I'm not reading messages. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm not watching TV. I'm not eating any kind of food that tastes good. I'm exclusively eating meat that can only be seasoned in salt. I can only drink water. I have electrolytes in the water, and that's like a little bit of flavor, but not really good flavor. Nothing that's actually going to make me feel happy. I can only read for entertainment, and I can only work out and go to work. So the idea of this is basically you're trying to like limit yourself from being happy at all, and that is a really, really not fun thing. So I want to explain this to you. It is supposed to basically resensitize your dopamine receptors so that you'll actually be able to feel more happy at just basic things. It's going to make you enjoy reading more, stuff like that. But I want to explain something. I was already going through something not fun right now, like some emotional turmoil, really not fun, bad stuff. Regardless of that whole situation, just this kind of conflict in my mind, just this thing that I'm stressing out about, even though it's not like this big deal, it's been bothering me. So whenever you have something like that that bothers you, do not start a dopamine fast. Make sure that you are like prime good, everything's good to go mentally for you before you do this. Do not do this if you are actively depressed or sad or going through anything that is stressful or difficult, if you're grieving any kind of a loss of a loved one, anything like that. Do not do this unless that is done and moved on. So for example, if I did this back in March, I would have been awesome. I did not have a lot of stresses back then. It was going really well. I got some like happy toys from the ATF approving me at that time. So everything was good. I was happy. That would have been great to just get rid of everything else and just kind of go with that. However, I didn't do it back then. I decided to do it now, which is bad timing because I'm currently going through all this stuff. So I haven't had a panic attack, like an actual, like really bad, detrimental, like can't move, can't breathe, can't stop crying type of panic attack since I was 16 initially, like whenever I had like the night terror disorder and all that stuff. Like if you read either of my books, you'll be aware of that story. I haven't had anything like that for 13 years. And then last night, I was unable to sleep. I was unable to stop shaking. I was unable to stop crying. I was in like the worst possible mental state that I've been in a very long time. And so as a result of that, I barely slept last night, which is making this even harder today because now I have to go to the gym and I have to do some super duper hard workouts on very little sleep and feeling very, very like sad, depressed, lethargic. And it's not a fun time right now. I really do not enjoy this. It's supposed to have a good benefit later, but today being day 3 and day 2 being that horrible, I don't know if it's going to be better tonight, better tomorrow, or if it's going to be kind of a recurring cycle. I hope it won't be, but we're going to find out as time progresses. So I'm going to keep you updated on this, and I'm going to attempt to go for the full 30 days. I don't know after last night if I'm actually going to be able to do the entirety of it that way. See, last night during this, I like literally from 10 p.m. to like 11:30 p.m., I could not stop this. This was like, it is weird. It hasn't happened to me in over 13 years. Nothing weird, but depriving yourself of so much, your brain starts freaking out, and it's like this really, really bizarre thing. It's like the closest thing I could compare it to is whenever someone gets overly like paranoid whenever they're smoking pot. That is the closest possible thing I could compare the feeling I had, like this dread, this catastrophizing of every possible scenario, and just this rapid thinking about like trusting people and then the lack of trust that I should have for those people and those people betraying that trust, just going on in this perpetual cycle. It was a really horrible time. So like last night I was reading the Roman Catholic Controversy by James R. White. I read like 113 pages of that yesterday. It's a really good book. I'm enjoying it a lot. But it got to a point where I was like, I need something that's like an entertaining book. But I don't really have entertaining books. So I was like, okay, I need a book that's like a little bit more lighthearted then. So I went and I grabbed my physical copy of The Warrior Poet Way by John Lovell. Amazing book. I've listened to it twice, but I've owned the physical copy so I can actually read it. So very excited about that. I went to grab that. I started reading it, and that made me feel feel a little bit calmer, a little bit happier. But then I just eventually broke down. Like, I ate dinner, which was a steak that was just seasoned with salt. And it was kind of like, oh yeah, just add that to the day just being, not a fun day. But then I just broke down. Like, I couldn't help it. I started crying and I was like, okay, this is weird. I like washed my face, cold water, just, trying to get myself to relax again. I drank a ton of water and tried to relax, cool off, do anything that I could to like relax my brain. It did not work effectively. So then around 9 o'clock, I decided, like, all right, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to be done reading. I'm going to go to sleep. So I laid down and tried to fall asleep. I could not. So everything quiet, my brain's racing. I decided to turn on the Bible, like an audio Bible, so it could just read it to me. I started at Matthew chapter 5, very beautiful verses, something that I thought like, oh, this is going to help me kind of relax a little bit. But then it just made me start thinking about other aspects of different things and different apologetics, and it was kind of distracting my brain even further down just different rabbit holes, but then it would always come back to the ones that I didn't want to be thinking about. And so long story short, with all of that, I failed so incredibly hard last night at doing this, because at around midnight, whenever this was just still not going away, after the crying for the most part kind of subsided, I still felt just this literal like pain in my stomach, like this really gross sickness that I couldn't really describe in any other way besides it feeling like I was physically sick. And so I just needed anything to actually distract my brain. So I turned on South Park, something that like I can fall asleep to because I've seen South Park so frequently throughout the entirety of my life. So I turned on South Park as just something to distract my brain, but that didn't do everything I needed it to. I was just so freaked out and perturbed. So I even went as far as I grabbed whiskey and I had a drink of whiskey. And that actually helped me pretty substantially just to kind of cool off, relax a little bit, and just kind of zone down. And the way I did it is not just like a down whiskey, anything like that. It was like I filled up my mouth with it and I let it burn my mouth, which is going to distract my brain and focus on that burning. Then swallowing it, it relaxes you. Whiskey is not unhealthy for you. If you abuse it, it's unhealthy. I never get drunk. I don't abuse it. This was not that kind of thing. I did not drink it in excess or anything like that. I limited it, so I still only had about like 1 ounce of whiskey approximately. I didn't measure it, obviously, because I was going through the fun stuff, but still, I did not do it in excess or in a sinful bad way. But that was basically the only thing that let me fall asleep last night. It was really, really not good. So hopefully tonight I will be doing better. Hopefully I will not have an issue like that, and I'm going to continue to try to keep you guys updated, but posting these kind of between the normal videos. So if you're interested in these kind of weird things that people do to try to make their brains work again, follow along. But just sincerely, if you want to do this, do it, but do not do it if you're currently going through something very hard or very difficult or bad. This is really, really hard to do. This is really not fun, and I desperately hate it and want to stop, but I'm going to try to go on for as long as I can. So in regards to this, please pray for me. This is absolutely not a fun time, but I'm trying to be as honest with you guys as possible throughout all of this. So consider supporting me on X. Go get yourself one of these shirts at taco-talks.com. That would help out a lot. In case of the TikTok ban, make sure you follow me on X, follow me on YouTube. God bless.